What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the You're Still Here podcast. You didn't think you were going to get another episode this quickly, did you? Thought you were going to have to wait a couple weeks. That's the beautiful thing about me. There is no predicting it. Like how you can't predict a hurricane, despite the fact that every single time you watch one of those weather reports, they go, and we got it coming up the coast, and you have to be worried. Everybody starts purchasing. Is that a scam right there? Did I just uncover one of their scams, the stock up on groceries scam, where they intentionally forecast hurricanes staying more west than they always do so that you go to the store and just purchase a bunch of things you were never going to buy? I don't know. We won't go that far just yet because I got plenty of scams to talk about today. We got plenty of things on the horizon. First of all, we got the Super Bowl coming up. You want to know what's weird about the Super Bowl to me? As a guy who's lived on the East Coast, West Coast, I kind of like that the Super Bowl is at 6:30, especially during February. It's pitch black at 4:15 p.m. for the most part on the East Coast. So 6:30, it feels like night. The Super Bowl, to me, it's got to be at night. True games, championships, it just feels like they have to be played at night. There's a different aura that surrounds it, which is why I hated watching sports on the West Coast. You have those games, you wake up at 10 a.m. to watch the Tennessee Titans game. Don't even mention the London games. You're up at 6:30 in the morning or something like that. And there's something that just doesn't sit right with me about the Super Bowl taking place at 3:30 in the afternoon on Sunday. That just feels weird. 3:30 in the afternoon, you're watching the Super Bowl. Janet Jackson showing her tit in broad daylight during the halftime show? I don't think so. I wasn't a big fan of that. Some people make the argument, but then you have your whole day ahead of you. Yeah, after Sunday Night Football, I remember it was like 8 o'clock, and it's like, well, now what the hell do I do? It's great to have that game right before bed, and then that kind of leads you into something that you're going to watch, and then you go to sleep. You know, the opposite is you're just kind of lingering around, and you know what they say about an idle mind and what that is. But I guess on the plus side of the Super Bowl being relatively early is that you'll get to watch the latest episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm. And Curb is back. And, I'm happy and sad. I'm thrilled to say it's back. If you can't tell, and I'll remind everybody here, this very podcast that you're watching, if you go back weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, you'll have to find the episodes. But there are two things I talked about first here, and then they were on an episode of Curb. Because you know how you have that friend that's always like, man, I feel like I could be, I am the next. Me and Larry David are the same guy. Well, I'm a guy who said things and then they appeared on his show. And the first was interrupting people who talk way too long with the Academy Awards theme music. I did that at Thanksgiving. So go back and watch the Thanksgiving episode from a few years ago. And there was somebody who was at my family's Thanksgiving, and it wasn't a classic family member. It was a Thanksgiving invite, those are far and few between. Randoms just don't show up at Thanksgiving typically. So then I wish she didn't do it, but my mom did this thing where everybody had to say what you were thankful for. Like, I don't thank you. And this guy, he gave a long thank. And I'm sitting here and I did it. I'm just that kind of guy. I don't care. I have the Academy Awards music in my phone ready for situations. And I played it while he continued to talk. And I did. And then I was like, I just thought maybe you needed a cue. You don't walk into somebody's things. At most, you know what you say? I want to thank you guys for having me here because I know it's not customary to have a random non-family member at Thanksgiving. I'm borderline embarrassed that I'm here, even more embarrassed that I'm talking right now. So I will just shut up. Thank you very much. That's the thank you. This guy's going, back in 19 so-and-so, there was a time where you Academy Awards music rolls, lights on, we're cutting to commercial. And then the second thing was I mentioned at my friend's wedding. Now, this is a friend that I actually like. You know how you have that whole list of friends like, oh, I actually hope that guy does well. Then you have scumbag friends who have been grandfathered into your group. You don't even like them. Your friend of 18 years. And if you met them this year out somewhere, you'd be like, I hate that guy. But they've been grandfathered in. So there's a variety of friends you have. And this is a guy I actually do like. And I was happy for him. But, whether you're at a wedding or wherever, you still want to check your DraftKings score. And I realized as I was about to check my score that while he was doing his with the bride first dance or whatever, there was one of those in the middle, that, wait a minute, you have these wedding hashtags. All these videos are aggregated and end up online somewhere. All it takes is one person filming them from the other side. And you know these brides, and not the grooms, but you know the brides. They're retroactively checking their wedding tape from everybody else, seeing anything they might have missed. And what do you think they're going to see in the back of that video of them dancing, celebrating their first dance together? Andy checking his Debo Samuel first half score. And that can't be. So I remember me taking it out and then realizing everybody's filming this. So I put a fake, like, I am happy for my friend. I'm just not somebody who just goes, yeah, oh, yeah, oh my God, they're dancing. So I put my best fake smile on because I knew I would appear in the background of the videos. And then on the Curb Your Enthusiasm episode, he did the Academy Awards playoff music for people who started talking to him for too long. And B, a separate episode, he got caught not being excited in the back and flagged down the cameraman and asked him to delete that part of the tape. It's a slight alteration, but it was essentially the stuff that I said here. And I'm so happy to kind of see it back. It's the sad thing that it's the last season of the show, but I do understand because although Larry David has always looked old, this season he's kind of looked, he truly looks like an old man. And it really is pretty funny. All these seasons, all of us viewers have to kind of suspend disbelief that Larry David is in all these romantic situations. He looks like a standard grandfather. He has the composer sideburns and like the Frasier mullet, the Hulk Hogan gray, raggedy, I'm not mullet, skull, where you're bald and you have the old man Montgomery. It even looks like a little like Montgomery Burns. Yet we're supposed to believe he's going out with all like these cute women in like their late 30s and 40s. It's just so preposterous. And now it's even getting more so. Him and Richard Lewis. Look, I mean, this picture that you're looking at on your screen, that's a good picture of Larry David. That's a good picture of him. Yet if I were to introduce you, didn't know who Larry David was, you'd say, oh, Andy, is that like your great uncle, your grandfather? You wouldn't be thinking of all the hilarious situations that he finds himself in terms of like dating and romantic relationships, sexual relationships. And I'm sure he would have found himself in a bunch of those on Valentine's Day, which we got coming up soon. How has there been? There must be an episode that touches on Valentine's Day. He says so many things about holidays. Another thing, we can go to my Facebook wall when I was in college, and I said, nothing bothers me more than those people who cornily tell you right before New Year's, hey, I see you next year. And then he talked about the statute of limitations on Happy New Year, people saying it on like January 25th or something like that. They would even be saying it. Maybe that will be the title of this episode, Happy New Year. Because we're around Super Bowl time, yet there are some people still pulling it.
Happy New Year.
You're too late. Happy New Year. Come on, it's 3 weeks.
Isn't it almost a month already?
It's ridiculous.
Look, I have nothing to say to these people.
When it comes to Larry David, by the way, looking old and not believable in these situations, I will say in his defense, he did have like that bald gray hair look during his youth. I even saw recently when he accepted an award for Seinfeld, like one of the early seasons of Seinfeld, we're talking about in the 90s. He accepted his award and said something along the lines of like,
This is all very well and good, but I'm still bald.
he looked like the old bald grandfather guy at that full whitish grayish hair and bald. That's a catch-22. There's a flip side to that Harvey Dent coin because I know people like this. Maybe some of those people are watching. Maybe some of those people are listening. I've said this right to their face. So on the flip side, now let's start on the ugly Harvey Dent side of the coin, because when you're young and you look really old, that kind of screws you. You're out of the pool for so many of the people there just because of how you look. The good news is, yeah, okay, you look really old at the age of 32, but at 42 and 52 and 62, you just still look like that same guy. So it's one of those delayed gratifications. It might hurt in the beginning, but in the long run, if you age very quickly like Larry David, at least you now have that bar set for a good couple of decades. I used to call this Steve Martin syndrome. I remember when I was a kid, I never really I still don't think I've watched the full movie, but there was that guy, Steve Martin, comedian, actor. He was in this movie called The Jerk. It was in the 80s. That guy that you're seeing on your screen right now. And then when I was in 2003, 2006, he was in Cheaper by the Dozen. I saw no difference in the guy. That's the same guy. If you were to see him this week, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the same guy. He had, oh my God, that looks, so if you're looking at your screen, we're going back and forth between pictures. There's, I don't know what, 30, 40 years between these pictures. It looks like it was a couple months apart. And I guess that's one of the benefits of going gray quick or going bald quick. Is that him now? There should be a Steve Martin mix-up year game where they show you a picture, you guess the year, like Price is Right style, over, under, something like that. But 3 decades went by between The Jerk and Cheaper by the Dozen, and there's no difference in him. So I guess that's one of the positives if you're one of those early agers out there. Now, with this Super Bowl coming up, there's been so many things to watch this week. It's almost, you get inundated with all these videos and every sports personality, and you know, good ones, Stephen A. and McAfee and Rich Eisen, and they're all there, and there's just so much. And then after, you get hit with a whole bunch of stuff about it. But you should choose wisely, because I don't know if you know about this, but Sports Illustrated got caught. You want to say hiring, but it's not hiring because these aren't real people. They've been using AI to write their actual sports articles. And it's one thing if you say, hey, here's our Sports Illustrated article, and it's just an aggregated bunch of information. AI is going to tell you what you need to know. No, they actually presented them as if they were articles written from one of their writers, a real human being. And in order to facilitate that, they actually put that it was written by, so they gave somebody a fake name and then used a picture, one of these AI freak pictures that mixes a bunch of different features from a bunch of different pictures and just spits out a human at you. So it created a fake author, a fake article, a fake everything, and you're the one reading it. And I guess I just got to ask, if you're one of those people, you really got to feel like an idiot after you learn something like this. I've been reading those Monday articles all year. You mean to tell me that a machine presented those to me and I read them as if some random guy in a cubicle wrote this somewhere? You're not the biggest idiot if you fell for that. To be honest, ChatGPT, they put some pretty convincing stuff out there. They put some pretty crafty articles, and somebody searched for me, tell me a story about a sports bettor named Andy who made a bunch of picks that he calls sniffs in his bunkers. And it presented a paragraph way better than me or you or anyone you know. It was in a poetic fashion. I was like, wow, this is pretty damn good. So I guess you shouldn't be that embarrassed if you fall for something like that, because these things are getting increasingly good. But I will say this, there are people who are worse than you because they're not just falling for articles. You can try to do that. How about these AI influencers? Yes, there are AI influencers with hundreds of thousands of followers out there. On Instagram, hundreds of thousands of followers. That's what a virtual ass will get you on Instagram. I've been printing money on this YouTube channel for weeks, months. If you needed money, you can come here. If you play the things, you make a ton of money. How many Instagram followers has my grown since the beginning of the season? 150. 150 new followers this year. Half this world is poor. I'm putting money in their pockets. You get nothing. You have a fake nice ass. It's not even a real one. It's a virtual ass. And that's it. Thousands and thousands and thousands get a fake sponsorship for a fake person. I had a joke that if you add ass to anything, that's like sprinkling Miracle Grow on your social media account or whatnot. And this was when all those girls' golf videos were getting popular. There were just videos of girls taking golf shots, but because their ass did an 8% jiggle on the backswing, these accounts accumulated more followers than 95% of professional golfers. So random people golfing with an 8% ass jiggle on their backswing garners way more followers than the best of the best of the best in that actual industry. And that's why sprinkling ass onto anything will add to it like Miracle-Gro. And I said that if you added ass to doing your tax returns, there wouldn't be a single audit needed for the rest of eternity. And that's kind of what I have to tell you guys on that front. But enough about that. And let's talk about a whole different other event, scam kind of event that all of us have to endure this week. No, it has nothing to do with the Super Bowl, nothing to do with Taylor Swift. It's Valentine's Day, which Taylor Swift, I believe, was in that movie however many years ago, the Valentine's Day movie. Yep, I was a chalky person who took somebody to see that movie on Valentine's Day. So you have a couple of options out there. Are you going to go with the chalk? Are you going to send someone some flowers? Well, I don't know if you guys are aware. You should be, but on apps like Seamless or on Uber Eats, DoorDash, any of these things, you can send flowers to people. There's a section on there just for flowers. And how convenient is that if you're going to send somebody some flowers? Even if you just met a girl, you want to make a good impression, you send them some flowers. But what is the big part of that you have to avoid? You can't send flowers over there to this girl's apartment or wherever. Have some Uber Eats guy knock on Uber Eats, I have your flowers. That destroys the whole thing. Did this guy just Uber Eats me flowers? You cannot do that at all. So that will bring you to my first scam of the week.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
And that is, if you want to send a girl some flowers, you simply, on whatever app you use, because they do have a ton of different floral options available on those apps, you send it to them. You make sure that you choose the option like hands-free, so-and-so delivery, and you make sure it gets dropped off at their door, and you put in the notes, like, gift, no receipt, please. Or if you have the option on the app, remove like paper receipt, all receipts digitally if you go into the settings or something like that. That way, this guy just drops the flowers there, and then you text the girl, hey, babe, why don't you open your door? And then she said, oh my God, he went to a florist and he ordered the delivery here so I could be surprised when I opened the door. What a thoughtful guy. Instead of, oh, he opened Uber Eats and some guy picked up McDonald's for one person at my apartment and then my flowers. So this guy was biking down a New York City street with 2 bacon cheeseburgers, quarter pounders, some nuggets, fish fillet, and then my flowers. That was all part of the same trip. You have to avoid that. And that's my scam of the week. It's the Uber Eats Valentine's Day. And you know, by the way, you know, if you order flowers on Uber Eats or any of those apps, you know you're getting those bottom shelf flowers. You know you're getting the flowers that have like 3 days of life left because that florist is like, we got to get these out of here. There they are. Right there, the picture's up on your screen if you're watching on YouTube. We got some Uber Eats, DoorDash, pickup flowers here. You know those florists are just getting those last licks flowers out there. You think they're getting out the good ones? Those ones that they need to get out or they're going to lose money on it like stale bread. They send all of those for the Uber Eats deliveries. Just a theory, but if I was running a place, that's what I would be doing. So send them some Uber Eats flowers if she's cool, but you might have to do more than that. She might want to go out to one of the biggest scams there is Valentine's Day dinner, where they take away the standard dinner menu and introduce a whole new one that's more expensive with fewer options. No different than any other holiday, like going out on New Year's. They're looking to scam you to the end of time. So hopefully if you got a cool girl, she won't make you take you out on Valentine's Day. Instead, you know what you do? You buy her an Apple Vision Pro and then let her envision the place that you won't be taking her. You see these imbeciles, by the way? this thing got released, people acting like it's the best thing you're ever going to see. These Macho Man Randy Savage goggles that people are wearing around town. No, this is not some discreet, oh, yeah, it's like in my contact lens and I can kind of see all these cool things. No, you wear a big helmet, a big Jofa, 90s Jofa helmet around, like Jaromir Jagr in the early 90s, and it looks like they're a conductor. If you've ever been to a concert or something, it looks like they're conducting without any sort of band going. I mean, they just look like schizophrenics. They look like the first people who had earpieces in before we all got used to cell phones and whatnot, and people had like, one of those hands-free headsets in, and they're walking around screaming at somebody on the phone. Meanwhile, you just thought it was another homeless schizophrenic walking around New York City. Here's what I told people on the Patreon about them. I'll never root for anybody to get robbed. I don't want bad things to happen to anybody, honestly. But if I was forced to submit a list of people who should be robbed, like I had to, humanity was at stake. And Andy, you have to give us a top 3 list of who should be robbed. Apple Vision Pro owners would be right on the top of that list. Those people, that guy right there, he would be one of my first candidates to get robbed. In the unlikely scenario that I'm forced to submit a list for humanity. I would never do such a thing on my own time. I'll never forget what Bill Burr said about VR and people who want to immerse themselves in the fake worlds. He said, in order to partake in that, you should first have to be successful in the real world. You should actually have to have a life before being a part of a separate fake life. If you failed in the real world, you shouldn't qualify for the virtual one. And I kind of agree. There should be some sort of qualification process. Yes. But, if you can take out your girl and, you won some money in the Super Bowl or something like that, then, take her out and blow all your winnings on it. It's fine. And then you'll eventually deal with the waitress who's angry at you for not tipping enough, because I saw this video about it.
This is the least amount of money I have made in a very long time. And I don't understand. Like, are people less giving? Like, my customer service personality has not changed. I'm just a little jokester. And you're so nice to these people, and the tips come back and it's like 10%, 9%. It's like, what's going on? What's going on? Yesterday I was working with like our best looking server, cute little college boy. So funny. He got a $2 tip on 30. And I'm like, I know he did not fucking do anything to those people, and they were so nice. What's going on? I made 10 grand in 2 months last summer, and I haven't even made 6 in 3.5 this year. What? Is this like normal or what?
This girl kind of talks about how nobody tips 20% anymore. Nothing's changed about her or the service that she gives. She's been serving for a long time. She's talked to older servers, and she's saying all the same service nowadays doesn't get 20%. It gets 10%. And she doesn't know what's going on. People just seem worse. Nobody tips anymore. And I'll add on to that a little bit. For years, I've been saying we're just becoming more rotten as a society. And then it's the median that's changing. Like Andy, I used to be a scumbag. People would say like, oh, you invited Andy over? That's scumbag. Now I haven't changed. It's the walls around me that have moved. Simply showing up to things on time. I show up to oh, you're having a birthday? Oh, you're going to a bar? All right, I'll show up. Me simply showing up and following through with a basic promise like, oh my God, Andy, what a great guy. You should go out with them. You tip 20%, you're a hero nowadays. The old scumbag is the new, oh, he's a pretty good guy. I can only imagine what it's going to be in a few years from now. But it's true. Like I see people, if you used to like cancel on a plan last minute, you were a villain. You'd be embarrassed to show up to the next thing. You'd be called a whole litany of things that I don't even want to say right now because I don't know who's watching this. Now, I've seen best friends. I mean, wives cancel on their husbands. People don't come home any day of the week. There's this quiet quitting thing where if you don't like one assignment that you get, you just go, oh, I'm out of here, and you leave. So there's just a whole different set of morals and way we go about doing things. And I don't really care. It's benefiting me. I used to be a scumbag. Now I'm a good guy. Happy to join the crew. Happy to be here. But in defense of all the people who are stiffing these waiters and waitresses on their tips, This is just a natural pushback on all the methods that they've used to screw regular people these last couple of years. The automatic gratuity they snuck in there. So, you know what? I can understand that, right? Some people are just tipping nothing. So you kind of have to now force some gratuity out of them, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. So you include the gratuity. Now, when the check comes, you'd probably include that and remove the tip lines, right? No. What you do is you include the gratuity, which is on a footnote on the menu, not really delineated in any discernible way where you can just see it easily. And then what do? You add the line still for tip. Does it say additional tip? No. It just says standard tip. So you don't know that their tip has already been included. You see that line staring at you, and then you tip, and then you realize, oh my God, the tip was already included. They screwed me. You go to get a coffee. You order a $2 coffee. They're pouring it. They flip that iPad around at you. Tip percentage on the iPad as they hand you the coffee, and you have to go put in the milk and sugar. So they pour the black thing behind them right into a cup, hand it to you, and go, where's my tip? As you have to go make the coffee right next to you. So you're getting hosed left and right, not to mention, how about what we were talking about Uber Eats before? Yeah, I'm sure the flowers were a decent price. You want to know what wasn't? Every single last fee that they have in there. Oh, no, it's the delivery fee. It's the maintenance fee. We got to maintain the fees. So in order to maintain the fees that we give, we got to charge you a fee to maintain the fees. It's just like a Twilight Zone, never-ending scam. You run around the block. There's a whole new fee, and you don't know what the hell they do. Nobody knows what they do. Ticketmaster's been doing it forever. Nobody will ever stop it, and you're getting hosed left and right. People are stealing out of your pocket here, taken out of your jacket there. It's like you're in Rome and everyone's a pickpocketer now. So when it comes to the standard bill, you just assume you've already been screwed a couple times. So that, waiters and waitresses who are repeatedly getting screwed out there, that's what did you in. Because in this world that we live in, there's a reason it's hanging above my head in the background right now. You either scam or you get scammed. So you go out for Valentine's Day. Yeah, you're going to pay two times what you'd normally be paying. You're going to have a lesser menu. And then, so you're going to pay more for something and then expect a big tip from the person who's going to complain because they're not happy that you don't add extra gratuity. How about, I just stumbled into another scam. I just stumbled into this lie.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
When you add gratuity, or it says gratuity included, I've done this before. I said, oh, is gratuity included? As they handed me the check, they go, yes, but that's for that. They go, that's for the restaurant. Oh, so now there's the restaurant gratuity and then the waitress gratuity. You do all these things, this is what you get. So you go out, you spend all this money for Valentine's Day. Then you got to spend all the extra on you. You're tipping everyone. You're tipping the waitress, you're tipping the place, you're tipping the person who seated you, you're tipping the cab driver, you're tipping everyone. And then if you don't do that, you go home and then there's an immediate viral TikTok about you. So you put something in the microwave as you're waiting for it. You open up TikTok. There's a video from the waitress who thinks you stiffed her, talking about how you're a cheap bastard on Valentine's Day as you're waiting for that food to heat up in the microwave, the leftovers that you brought home, because, you know, she bagged that for you. That deserves an extra 5%, right? All the hard work that was, taking the plates to the back and having somebody else bag them. And that is my final scam of the week, by the way.
It's a scam.
That's a scam.
What a scam that was.
So this was all a scam, huh?
Every single button that you see on your microwave in your house right now, because every single microwave that's ever existed since the beginning of time, it only needed 2 buttons. The first is start. The second is +30. That's it. That's the only button I've ever hit on a microwave. Every single thing. Oh, what is it? Is it freezing cold? All right. +30, +30, +30, plus. I'll hit it 6 times. And all right, there we go. Are you one of those people? Tell me you're one of those people who thinks that any other button on a microwave does anything. You click that popcorn. Tell me you put popcorn in there and then click that popcorn button. Like, oh, no, it knows. It's like a chiropractor. It applies pressure in a different area. And then you hear, oh, pop, 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 because it's sending it underneath. It knows it's popcorn. Those buttons are more useless than the closed door button on an elevator. You know that one? Yeah, you're just sitting there waiting for it, and you think that door is going to close quicker. So you click it. What happens? It doesn't close. And then you realize to yourself, oh, what an embarrassment I am. And what do? The next time, you click the next one. Like an elevator door hasn't closed when that button's been hit since the 1950s. Because you know what happened. It closed, it hurt someone, and they said deactivate these and all of them. And then one guy said, no. But leave it in there. Because there are people like that. They want to know. People take sick pleasure out of that, knowing that you've clicked the elevator close button and then it never closed.
I'm sick.
That reminds me, you guys want to know a pet peeve before I go back to that microwave? I used to be livid about this when I went up to an elevator. If you've known me for a really long time, I've told you this in person. Because in New York, there are a ton of elevators everywhere. You're always waiting for elevators. When you go up to an elevator, you click that up button and it's lit up yellow. And then some new person walks over as they see you waiting for the elevator with the yellow up arrow already lit. And what do? You know what they do. They lean in and hit that thing a second time. I'm telling you, those are the second group of people that deserve to be robbed right after the Apple Vision Pro people. The double elevator up button pushers. They're next on my list. But I'm not kidding you. On the last microwave that I saw, there was a button, and this is how I knew I was right, that there is no arguing me after this. There's a button, and I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to put an overlay that says family snacks. A subjective family, what's a family snack? It could be anything. They programmed that button in there, and guess what? It's all one big button behind the panel. It's just, whether you hit microwave snacks or popcorn, it's one big button. You're hitting the same button behind there. And that's how you know. If you hit the family snacks button on an elevator, I'm telling you, there's a wireless signal sent to a boardroom somewhere. And a group of people has one of the hardest laughs they've ever had. If I was in a boardroom and I got the signal sent that somebody hit the family snacks button in order to, like if somebody put something that was a family snack in there and clicked family snacks, I'd have a good 20-minute laugh.
That's the funniest damn thing I've ever heard!
That's advanced laughing, because when you actually think about the layers of it, it's hysterical. It's just that somebody went to a microwave, chose family snacks, like that was actually going to be the right solution. Don't ever click that. The only thing that you guys should be clicking, there's only one thing, actually a couple, and that is the like button on this video, the subscribe button on this video, the notifications on this video, because that's how you can get more of these episodes along with my NHL videos, NFL videos, and any other random videos. I think I'm going to start doing something, by the way. I'll talk about this later on Picking Corners. I'm one of the hockey shows. I have a way I'm going to start involving YouTube shorts in a way that can be beneficial to some of you people. I'll tell you guys about that later on Picking Corners, which I might actually be up before this. Anyway, thank you guys for coming back. As I hope you learned today, in life, you can either scam or be scammed. So, on this Valentine's Day week, I hope that you choose wisely. I will see you next time. Take it easy and have a good one.
Simmons is old. He should have been out of the game years ago, but he can't stay home because he hates his wife.